might as well just settle down and embrace them, learn something from them until God does what only God can do.
Joyce Meyer once dominated Christian television with a message of healing, hope, and resilience. But after decades of influence, her ministry now faces a storm few expected, marked by a sudden network disappearance, mounting internal concerns, and a noticeable drop in audience reach. What's really happening behind the scenes of one of the world's most recognizable faith-based platforms? How does someone who turned personal trauma into global impact now struggle to maintain stability? The situation raises deeper questions about leadership, trust, and accountability, placing her ministry in what may be its most challenging chapter yet. Sudden fall from Daystar. For nearly 2 decades, Joyce Meyer's ministry was a constant presence on Daystar television network, reaching millions with messages of hope and healing. Her voice became familiar across households, her teachings part of daily routines for viewers around the world. Then in 2025, without warning, her programs disappeared. No clear explanation, just silence. But behind that silence, reports and leaked information began to surface, pointing to deeper issues beyond the usual financial scrutiny surrounding large ministries. What once seemed stable now felt uncertain, and the sudden shift left both supporters and critics searching for answers. The impact was immediate and undeniable. Inside the ministry, there was a rapid scramble to secure new platforms as viewership dropped sharply. Losing Daystar meant losing a massive global audience almost overnight, cutting off a key channel that had sustained the ministry's reach for years. What was once a dominant voice in Christian broadcasting now faced shrinking influence and growing uncertainty. At the same time, Daystar itself was dealing with internal turmoil. Allegations of financial mismanagement and leadership conflicts placed the network under intense scrutiny, drawing public attention to issues that had long remained behind closed doors. Meyer's departure happened right in the middle of that storm, leading many to believe the two situations were closely connected. For some observers, her exit appeared strategic, a move to protect her ministry from the fallout. For others, it reflected a more personal decision, consistent with her long-standing stance on accountability, justice, and protecting those affected by wrongdoing. The staff members of Joyce Meyer Ministries managed to develop new methods of operation after their work was interrupted. The ministry expanded its digital outreach through multiple platforms, which included the Trinity Broadcasting Network and Lifetime. And the organization extended its reach through YouTube and other online services. The organization experienced a 10% decline in audience numbers, but the new platforms created fresh opportunities for their operations. The process of rebuilding an organization after a major public incident needs more than showing itself to the public, because it demands building up trustworthiness. Trust emerged as the main obstacle to overcome. The situation revealed major problems that affected leadership, transparency, and governance throughout all faith-based organizations that operate at a national level. Both followers and critics started demanding that the ministry provide more specific information. The faith-based broadcasting industry experienced a complete transformation because of the crisis. The era of relying on a single dominant network is fading. The current period shows that people need multiple digital channels that provide them with transparency, responsibility, and immediate communication. The ministry of Joyce Meyer experienced a sudden change, which required the organization to respond immediately during a period of uncertainty without any chance for gradual development. Through the chaos, her audience remained dedicated to her work. People are strongly connected with her stories about overcoming trauma and fighting through various personal challenges. The authentic nature of his work succeeded in retaining fundamental audiences while the main organization encountered difficulties. The present situation required more than individual experiences. The situation needed better organizational responsibility, combined with improved information sharing and a stronger dedication to ethical standards. Daystar and Daystar ended their partnership through more than simple programming modifications. The event served as a critical moment that revealed weaknesses while examining leadership capabilities and requiring the organization to start a fresh existence. Even as her ministry faced a crisis, the story of how Joyce Meyer's personal history shaped her ministry reveals why so many were drawn to her message for decades. Meyer's darkest childhood truth. Joyce Meyer was born during World War II, but the real turmoil came from inside her home. Her father returned from the war deeply changed, bringing anger, control, and instability into the household. What should have been a place of safety became defined by fear, silence, and emotional tension that shaped her earliest years. At a very young age, Joyce later revealed she endured ongoing abuse from her father, an experience hidden behind closed doors. Her mother, struggling with her own fear, remained silent, which deepened Joyce's isolation. As the years passed, the situation worsened. Fear became constant, and the lack of protection left lasting emotional scars. By her teenage years, the abuse had intensified, reinforcing feelings of shame, confusion, and worthlessness. The trauma she experienced affected all aspects of her existence. She faced academic challenges while her friendships disappeared, and her core self-identity suffered from severe instability. She grew up believing harmful lies about herself, which others intentionally created through their silent treatment of her. The most painful truth she encountered showed her that two things existed: the abuse and the complete absence of anyone who would intervene to protect her. The darkness began to transform into something different. Joyce discovered her faith as a child when she found a Bible that taught her about love and hope and forgiveness. The circumstances did not transform instantly to better conditions, but the situation provided her with a solid base, which enabled her to continue her story. At the age of 18, she chose to move out of her parents' home. She entered her adult years while carrying serious emotional scars, which made it hard for her to connect with others, deal with financial matters, and achieve emotional recovery. The trauma that she experienced remained with her, but it ceased to control her destiny in the same way it used to. Her voice developed from her experiences of suffering, which she endured throughout her life. Her dedication to expressing her experiences about trauma and recovery would later connect with millions who experienced similar challenges. The path to influence required her to first focus on survival. Healing became her priority before she started spreading her message to others. As her childhood shadows eventually gave way to newfound purpose, Joyce began taking small but significant steps toward what would become an influential voice in Christian media and ministry, building a ministry and media empire. Joyce Meyer's ministry started humbly, with small Bible studies among co-workers and friends in the mid-1970s. Drawing from her own struggles and healing journey, she spoke honestly about real-life challenges.
Whatever it is that you're facing right now, I want to tell you, you can do it.
Which resonated deeply with those around her. These early groups grew steadily, evolving from 30 people to over 100 weekly attendees, prompting the start of a women's Bible study in her home. Her ability to connect authentically opened doors that traditional ministry hadn't reached, laying the groundwork for something much bigger. In the early 1980s, Meyer's involvement with Life Christian Center in Fenton, Missouri, marked a significant turning point. Ordained as an associate pastor, a rare role for women at the time, she began counseling others carrying emotional wounds similar to her own. A 15-minute weekly radio show emerged, where she addressed pain openly and compassionately, further expanding her influence. Listeners wrote in large numbers, seeking comfort and guidance, proving that her frankness about trauma and faith met a deep need. By 1983, Joyce launched her own syndicated radio program, Life in the Word, swiftly spreading to major cities throughout the Midwest. The impact of her message was tangible, as ratings surged and listeners felt seen and understood for the first time. Her honesty about abuse, fear, and hope was not meant to shock, but to heal, creating a safe space for conversations rarely held openly in Christian circles. In 1985, Joyce officially founded Life in the Word as an independent nonprofit, operating initially from her home with modest financial support from listeners. The ministry grew rapidly, hiring staff and formalizing its structure. A breakthrough came with her Battlefield of the Mind series, addressing hidden struggles like depression, anxiety, and negative thoughts. The tapes sold thousands of copies, and the series later became one of her best-selling books, connecting with millions worldwide. Joyce Meyer soon entered the television arena in 1993 with Enjoying Everyday Life, starting as a local half-hour program. Its relatable style and candid storytelling propelled it quickly into a global phenomenon, eventually airing in 20 countries by the late 1990s. Her ministry headquarters, funded by over $100 million in donations, featured state-of-the-art studios producing hundreds of episodes a year. Meyer's message of honest healing and faith fueled rapid expansion and unprecedented reach. Her willingness to share personal hardships, 3 divorces, abusive relationships, and deep trauma continued to set her apart. While some critics questioned her emphasis on prosperity and questioned lavish spending, Meyer's transparency deepened her appeal to those wrestling with pain and doubt. The opening of the St. Louis Dream Center in 2000 extended her ministry into practical aid, serving thousands with addiction recovery, food programs, and shelter, blending spiritual teaching with tangible help. Despite controversies and investigations, Joyce Meyer's influence soared as she authored over 100 books, including the iconic Battlefield of the Mind, which sold more than 30 million copies globally. Her ability to address difficult topics like abuse and mental health without shame created a new template for Christian leaders. By the early 2000s, Meyer had built an empire not just of faith, but of media, publishing, and humanitarian outreach. An empire now tested by the latest storm. As Joyce faced growing criticisms and network upheavals, the foundation of her ministry, rooted in personal pain and public healing, continued to shape her response to crisis and change. Controversies and criticisms. Joyce Meyer's rapid rise brought not just influence, but intense scrutiny. By the early 2000s,
I'd like for people that are listening today to remember that if you've been hurt a lot, you probably are going to be overly sensitive.
questions emerged about the lifestyle of her ministry's leadership. A 2003 expose by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported high salaries, around $900,000 for Meyer and $450,000 for her husband, alongside ministry-funded homes, expensive furnishings, and a widely criticized $23,000 marble commode. For critics, these became symbols of excess within faith-based organizations. The backlash grew louder, eventually reaching Washington. In 2007, Senator Chuck Grassley launched a probe into several televangelists, including Meyer. The investigation examined spending practices like private jets and financial transparency. While her ministry cooperated fully and no illegal wrongdoing was found, the scrutiny forced a shift toward stricter oversight and clearer reporting. Even so, concerns didn't disappear. Reports revealed significant spending on staff-related expenses, including cosmetic procedures, which drew further criticism. For some observers, these choices raised questions about priorities and stewardship. The ministry found itself walking a fine line, balancing growth, visibility, and public accountability under constant watch. At the same time, Meyer faced criticism for her teachings. Some labeled her message as prosperity-focused, arguing it risked oversimplifying faith into a formula for success. Others, however, saw her work differently. Her teachings on overcoming trauma, fear, and emotional struggle resonated deeply with audiences seeking practical guidance and healing. This divide between critics and supporters became a defining part of her public image. The ministry initiated visible changes because it needed to respond to the pending demands of its ministry. The organization became a member of the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability in 2009, which required the organization to conduct independent financial audits and improve its financial reporting practices. The organization disclosed its financial statements to the public, while establishing governance systems that extended beyond direct family relationships. Although these modifications restored some confidence, the public still maintained doubts. Meyer built her power through her books Battlefield of the Mind and Beauty for Ashes, which continued to generate controversy about her work. Her ability to share her life story, which included her experiences of trauma and recovery, established a connection with people who experienced similar challenges. Her ability to share personal details about herself became her most valuable asset, which enabled her to stand out from others who made negative remarks about her. The ministry engaged in multiple outreach activities through its preaching work, its conference programs, its humanitarian efforts, and its community initiatives, which included the St. Louis Dream Center. The organization delivered spiritual education, which combined with practical assistance to reach thousands of people annually. The public eye brought increased visibility, which made public demands on her. The public evaluated all aspects of her work, which included her choices, spending, and communications. The ministry lost some of its power because of the scandals, which brought public attention to its operations and required it to change its practices while maintaining its fundamental objectives. Technology and modern media were reshaping ministry landscapes, but personal and organizational crises could still cause profound disruption. Daystar scandal and network fallout. For nearly 2 decades, Joyce Meyer's programs were a fixture on Daystar television network, helping expand her ministry to a global audience. But in 2024, that long-standing partnership was shaken by a major scandal. Reports brought forward by journalist Julie Roys alleged that Joni Lamb had failed to act on serious abuse claims within her own family. Internal accounts suggested warnings were ignored, placing the network under intense scrutiny and raising concerns about its leadership and internal culture. The impact was immediate. By early 2025, Joyce Meyer stepped away from Daystar, pausing her broadcasts and distancing her ministry from the controversy. Given her long history of speaking about abuse and healing, the situation carried personal weight. For many, her decision signaled both a moral stance and a necessary move to protect her ministry's integrity amid growing uncertainty. In the aftermath, Meyer quickly transitioned to other platforms, including the Trinity Broadcasting Network and Lifetime, while expanding her reach through YouTube. Although the shift resulted in an estimated 10% drop in audience, it also opened new pathways, particularly with younger viewers who engage more through digital content. Live stream sessions, devotionals, and interactive formats helped maintain a connection, but rebuilding momentum after such a public break proved challenging. Meanwhile, Daystar's internal crisis deepened. Jonathan Lamb publicly accused his mother of financial misconduct, including excessive personal spending and lack of transparency. He claimed she earned over $1 million annually and maintained secrecy around payroll. Daystar denied these allegations, stating compensation was independently reviewed. However, court filings referencing Marcus Lamb suggested internal decisions about salary structures that fueled concerns over conflicts of interest. The organization removed Jonathan Lamb, which resulted in increased public interest and showed the internal conflicts between network members. Daystar's credibility suffered damage through these conflicts, which renewed public worries about how major religious organizations handle their governance and accountability. Joyce Meyer discovered through the aftermath that people create problems for their organizations through their wrongdoing because they lose trust. Her departure reflected a shift in priorities, placing integrity above reach. The organization faced a need for development through better transparency practices to secure its ongoing operations after her departure. Her audience maintained strong ties with her throughout the challenging times. His dedication to faith, discipline, and perseverance made a strong impression on others. Her personal voice maintained its power during the 2025 devotional message, which attracted hundreds of thousands of engagements despite changes to its surrounding structure. The Daystar scandal developed into a major network crisis, but it revealed fundamental weaknesses that exist in faith broadcasting because of conflicts over leadership, power, and accountability. The event established a crucial moment that defined Meyer's ministry. Its platform faced a challenge that examined its core principles while establishing a foundation for future developments. The shifting landscape of ministry platforms and internal challenges demanded new approaches, setting the stage for Joyce Meyer's ministry to face what might be its most defining years yet: current challenges and future prospects.
Ephesians chapter 6 is a chapter in the Bible about how to defeat the devil.
After stepping away from Daystar, Joyce Meyer Ministries entered a defining moment. Expanding to platforms like TBN, Lifetime, and YouTube created new opportunities, but also revealed a tougher reality. Audience reach declined by around 10%, forcing the ministry to rethink how it connects in a rapidly changing media environment. The transition wasn't just technical. It demanded a deeper shift toward transparency, engagement, and rebuilding trust under growing scrutiny. The move to digital opened doors to younger audiences who prefer interactive and personal content. Live-stream Q&As, daily devotionals, and real-time conversations replaced traditional broadcasts, offering a more direct connection. But digital space comes with intense competition, where attention is limited and authenticity is constantly tested. Keeping the core message intact while evolving delivery became a delicate balance. The ministry encountered ongoing problems because it needed to rebuild its credibility after previous financial issues and leadership scandals. The organization had established governance procedures, yet needed to address existing problems related to accountability and organizational framework. The ministry required constant demonstration of trust because its members had lost that trust through their actions. The ministry's ability to move forward depended on its supporters, who remained loyal, and its new viewers, who considered integrity to be essential. The ministry found Meyer to be its main personal story through which to operate. Her personal experiences with trauma and her healing process, together with her emotional difficulties, established a connection that made her storytelling more relatable to others. Her truthful approach maintained a dedicated following while the organization faced its period of instability. The ministry conveyed its mission through her messages, which combined perseverance with faith, to demonstrate its commitment to enduring their current situation while working towards their future goals. The situation became more difficult because of financial constraints. The organization reduced its outreach activities because donors started to give funds with greater restraint. The organization maintained its commitment to humanitarian work and community programs, which functioned as core initiatives, yet those initiatives needed stronger monitoring and enhanced visibility to sustain funding. Joyce Meyer's journey shows how even the most influential ministries can face storms that test their very foundation. Her story is a reminder that transparency, accountability, and authenticity are essential for lasting impact. If you found this story insightful, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into faith, leadership, and resilience. And don't miss the next story waiting on your screen, where another powerful narrative takes an unexpected turn.